All right, guys. Musky Talk Mondays. Happy Labor Day. There we go. All right. We got Jeff Widmann, Team Rhino Outdoors. If you haven't heard of him, well, you're not a musky fisherman. Go check him out. He'll be explaining a lot more about the business and what they do and all that stuff very shortly. So without further ado, Maine, bada bing, Jeff, welcome, finally.
Colin, how are you?
Oh, not too bad.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've talked about doing this since I was down helping stock muskies back in April.
Yeah, and that was the first time I actually got to meet you, which is pretty cool. And we're definitely going to get into that today. I definitely want to give you a huge shout out for that, and on behalf of all of us in the southeastern part of the state, thanks. I mean, you are a big contributor to that and whatnot.
Well, I mean, part of that, you can say thanks to us, but I can say thanks to you guys down in the southeast part of the state for, supporting Team Rhino Outdoors. They've been instrumental in, helping me, get even off the ground. I know that our very first show, the guys from the clubs down there, they came out and supported our booth at the very first Milwaukee show we ever did.
Oh, really?
And, it's just been, one of those things that we've tried to give back to them every year, every year since. And so it's been a good partnership, and as long as they're willing to keep cashing my checks, I'm willing to keep helping them put muskies in southern Wisconsin.
Deal. If they don't, if they don't do it, then I don't know. We'll have a word with Brian or something like that later on behind closed doors or something.
That's right. Yep. No doubt.
So, first of all, musky fishing. You're originally from Wisconsin, correct?
I am. Lived here my whole life.
So you kind of have, someone in your family probably started musky fishing. But what brought you to the scene of musky fishing?
Honestly, nobody in my family has done any musky fishing. I'm pretty much the only one.
Okay.
It really came back to me starting to musky fish came back probably, I'm guessing like 15 years ago. It actually started through Keys Outdoors, but at the time his show wasn't called Keys Outdoors. It was called North Country Adventures.
Okay.
And they didn't primarily focus on musky fishing at the time. They were doing a lot of multi-species stuff. They would do some hunting, just different shows, ice fishing shows. So it wasn't like his show is today. And my dad and I, we were out. At the time, I just had a little John boat, and we were out on a little lake that I used to record it on VHS. I'd set my VHS to record it. This is before DVRs and everything. And so I was watching the show. My dad and I were out fishing, and we went to this little lake, and we caught a whole bunch of crappies, but nothing was that big. And it was fun, but it wasn't like super exciting.
Yeah. So
anyways, I go home, I watch the show, and I had seen, it was, ironically, it was Steve Jensen, who helps me now. He was out musky fishing with Mike.
Yeah.
And I was like, that looks like that'd be a lot of fun. I really got to try it. Little did I know that would pretty much ruin the rest of my life, but
here we are today.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where it started. So then I picked up some gear and farted around with some musky fishing stuff before that. But then I actually went out with, I didn't have any success. I'd had a couple follows, nothing in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, there was basically this was, I don't know, I'm guessing somewhere around April, May, June, somewhere in there that I did it. So then I farted around a little bit on my own that year. And then the following season, I went out with Steve. And I just figured that's the best way to learn the ropes quick. And Steve had us on a muskie in like 10 minutes. And I thought, wow, this is actually pretty easy. But as anybody who musky fishes on a regular basis knows, it's anything but easy. Or, some days it can be, but then there's other days and there's other weeks that you struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what, you just been hooked ever since and kind of, kept going?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Like it was about that time that I never really wanted to fish for anything else. And even now, I mean, I spend enough time fishing for bluegills and stuff with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Especially earlier in the season. Later in the season, when the water starts to get warmer, they'd rather go swimming than bluegill fishing. But I would fish with them. But like this year, And even a couple years ago, my daughter, once they opened trolling in northern Wisconsin, my daughter she had always had an interest in musky fishing with me, but she had never gone out. And so we we went out trolling like right away once they opened it up. I think it was somewhere early July, 2-3 years ago, and we got her a muskie. It wasn't big, but she was happy with it. And then she's always like, I want to go casting with you. So this year, I think she turned 11 in February. So I took her out casting with me this summer a couple times. And the first time she saw a fish go around in a figure eight, she decided it came in on, I don't remember what bait I was throwing. It came in on one of the baits I was throwing, and I had to go around a couple times, but I didn't think the fish was going to eat based on the way I read it. Like if I sped up, it didn't come with me. It would kind of just hang back. But if I slowed down, it would get back on the bait. Well, then she saw the fish, and she decided she'd come right over by me in figure eight, and she hooked my bait, she hooked my line, and that was the end of that story. Yeah. So that fish was gone, but she got to see it, so that was pretty cool. Of course, I wasn't upset because I was just happy that my daughter has an interest in musky fishing with me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then we were up in northern Wisconsin again, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she was mad at me because I kept making her throw a Lake X topwater, and I'm just like, don't worry, darling, it's a perfect, it's the time, like the water temperatures are right, the time of the night is right. I'm like, you just got to keep casting, And it was no sooner than I told her to get up and keep casting because she was down on me. She's like, Dad, I want to just throw something else. Like, let me throw one of the ones that you're throwing. And then it was no sooner than after that I'm telling her, like, it's prime time, we got to go. And I hook a muskie in the figure eight, and I lost it. But she got to see that one too. So, as far as having action, her and I are 2 for 2 this summer, but we're 0 for 2 putting muskies in the boat. But it'll come around someday, but and then after that, of course, after I hooked one on a bucktail, I was throwing a junior cowgirl, and she's like, Dad, I want to throw a bucktail. So then I gave her a Kramer Brothers Revolution to throw, and she worked it fine. And they start easy for kids, so.
Oh, yeah.
Except for she's like, she says to me, Dad, this thing pulls a lot harder than my fat bastard did. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a little
tougher.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. At least you got to witness some stuff. Her first couple trips out. That's pretty cool. You probably have a proud dad moment right there.
For sure. I'll have a more proud dad moment when I get to net one for her. And she keeps, every time we go out, she's like, Dad, I hope you catch one. And I'm like, I don't. I hope you catch one. I'm like, I've caught enough muskies in my life. I said, if I don't ever catch another one, I won't be that mad. But I'd like to see my kids. I'd like to see my kids catch them. It's a cool thing to take them out and get them out fishing.
That's cool. Well, congrats on, a successful, couple muskie sightings with her. She coming out this fall? Going to head out with this fall with her?
I would imagine, we have a camper up by Pelican Lake in northern Wisconsin that we just keep in a campground, but, it stays there year round. So we're up there about as often as we can be, with, this business and the other business I run. Sometimes life gets in the way and we don't always get up every weekend, but I would assume that if the weather's nice, she'll probably get another chance or two with me. It really just depends on how the nights play out. I don't musky fish every weekend up there. If the weather's mildly crappy, I'll hang out with the kids or, watch a movie in the camper, or sit around the campfire, do whatever. So it's not always. When I was younger, it was always every weekend it was about musky fishing. And now it's not as much about that, but I still, there'll be a nice night. And like, I've had a few times where I'm packing up the boat up north and getting ready to go fishing. And one of the kids will be like, Dad, do you want to go bluegill fishing? And I'll be like, oh man, I got to put the musky poles away, but I do it, it's fine. So I don't mind it, but it's, one of those things where it's, when you have the passion for musky fishing, it's always in you. It's hard to get rid of it. You don't, you like, even though I don't fish all the time, I still think about either the musky business or musky fishing itself. I mean, you always want to be, you always want to be on the water.
So now that we kind of covered along the lines of how you got into the just musky fishing aspect, now how did this whole, Team Rhino Outdoors start and the concept behind this business?
Well, okay, so I have been involved with the muskie scene, I guess, for a while. So ever since, I I worked some booths for some of the guys at the shows back, I don't know, I'm guessing 6-7 years ago. And I know one of them I worked with, it was like me, Chuck DeVito from Custom X, and Steve. We were working together in a couple of booths. And when you're working in a booth, you get to know a lot of the other people. So I kind of had pretty good roots as far as like ins on the muskie industry to start with.
Okay.
But as I advanced in my muskie career, I found myself buying less and less of the, stock colors, if you will, or whatever. And so I had a lot of manufacturers just paint me, I'd contact them and say, hey, I'm looking for this color or that color or whatever. And sometimes I'd have to wait a long time to get a custom color, but eventually they'd come through and I'd get whatever I was looking for. And I was always thinking to myself, like, why aren't there more companies out there that offer, custom colors, not just always stock stuff all the time? I'm like, I have a whole house full of stock stuff that I can get, all over the place, but I'm like, I was never throwing that stuff. It's a weird thing with the muskie guys. You make that progression through. It seems like you're always looking for an edge. Oh, yeah. And, so I was looking for an edge, something that, maybe the fish hadn't always seen or whatever. So, but anyway, so it goes to Team Rhino Outdoors. I started out more like I wanted to do more of the producing YouTube type stuff, maybe thinking eventually I'd have a TV show. But it quickly became like more of a promotional thing. Like we'd be running like giveaways and contests for different companies. Yeah. And at that point, I was like, I should really start to sell a couple baits, like custom baits, to try to cover some of my costs on shipping baits out for these contests or, however else we do about it or go about it. And I was like, but if I'm going to do that, there's probably some, tax stuff I need to get involved in. And if I'm going to go that far, then I might as well just open up a shop and do this, the right way. So that's kind of how it was. I was like, I should probably just open up a shop and then, do it the right way. Well, my goal with the shop was to just basically reinvest every dollar that I would make into more baits. Mm-hmm. And that's still the path we've taken. It's just, for a while there, I basically was my own investor in my company because my electrical business had been doing pretty well. And so there was extra money. And for whatever reason, my wife was always behind me. She never was like, no, don't do this. And even though she should have been, she wasn't. She was always like,
that's awesome.
At the time, she wasn't in the shop like she is now. Mm-hmm. But she was never telling me this is a bad idea. She was always just like, yeah, I trust that you know what you're doing and that this is going to work out. So anyways, long story short, now here we are to today. And it's kind of taken off a bit quicker than I had ever imagined it to. I had thought that the concept would work, but I thought it would take a while. It was really like a 10-year plan for me. And Here we are I think it's like 3.5 years we've been in business. And it's a viable business. I still don't take paychecks from the business, but we're doing well, and the growth that we have is all, it's all fueled by its own sales. Every penny, I've never once taken a paycheck from this company yet. So every penny that we make still goes right back into buying more colors, more companies. You know how it is in the muskie industry. There's a bazillion companies.
Of course.
And so we're still reinvesting. I hope that, we've had rapid growth in that area, but I'm hoping that maybe next year we'll be able to slow the growth a little bit because I think we have a lot of our bases covered. But there's still companies out there that I talk to, regularly that I'd like to add. I'd like to have them. I'd like to have their stuff in my store. I want to be eventually I'd like to be a full service muskie shop where we have everything, hooks and all that stuff, and we're still missing out on that. I'd like to get into reels, but so far it's been a tougher road for reels than it has been for baits. Like some of the bigger companies, they have crazy rules and different stipulations because they don't have a brick and mortar store. Yeah. So that kind of holds me back a little bit, but I don't ever anticipate going down the brick and mortar path either.
Now, this is like running out of like a garage, pretty much, right?
Well, I mean, initially we started in the basement, and then we basically, I don't want to say we ran out of room, but I just got tired. Like, my kids have a play area down there, and we kind of got taken, like, so we kind of took over most of their play area, as much of it as I wanted to. And, like, we had a little tower set here, a little tower set there, and then we had, some bucktails in this corner, some bucktails in that corner, and some, like, you just kind of hodgepodge it all together as you go, because, like I said, I mean, I had a plan on how I was going to get there, but I didn't really think about all the steps in between necessarily that I was going to have to take. You don't think about all the inventory that you have to carry, I mean, when I started this business, I don't want to say I was naive to the cost that it was going to take, but I was a bit naive when it came to that. Like, I didn't think, I thought $10,000 in baits was a decent amount, and that turns out to be a drop in the bucket compared to where you're at now. So,
wow.
But anyway, so getting back to your actual question, we started in the basement of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we started doing shows, it was a real pain in the butt having to pack all of our stuff up, take it up the stairs, out to the trailer, out to the show, come back home from the show, go downstairs, pack it up, take it, inventory it, do the whole thing. So it was last September we made the move to the I have a detached garage for my electrical business, or I had, because the electrical business got kicked out of the shop, and now it's just the bait shop. So, last September I had them put in some security cameras and some security because, I'd like to, protect the investment. But, so we got all that taken care of. And then it was early part of last September. It was probably literally like a year to the day that we moved out here. And it's been a lot nicer. I mean, it's a lot better. Like when we get orders, we get orders dropped off, like from the manufacturers.
Yeah.
We don't need to haul all the stuff down the basement. The other thing too is like, our printing station was upstairs for printing off orders. So if we were downstairs working and we got an order, we'd have to print it off, run upstairs, grab the order, come back down. And then at the end of the night, we have to take all of our orders upstairs and then take them to get labels printed on them. So the move to the shop really simplified the whole process. And I mean, it saved us a ton of time. Now everything's here. The only downfall is because, my kids will go to bed at 8 o'clock. And they're in the house, and we're out in the shop. We had to put a baby monitor in so I can hear what's going on in the shop, or hear what's going on in the house if one of the kids woke up or whatever. But that was a minor hurdle, and it's like I said, it's been a nice addition out here. My only concern is that my Tuffy boat sits in the shop. My only concern is that the Tuffy boat's going to have to find a new home pretty soon because the baits are starting to get. Room is becoming a premium in the shop even, and I didn't think it was going to get to that level that quick either. So as you can see, I've underestimated things sometimes.
Just a little bit, Jeff. Do you guys ever plan on opening like an actual shop to the public? And
I mean, honestly, I would say no, just because then I'm gonna have to be like either me or somebody's gonna have to be at the shop all the time. I mean, where we are now, like as far as like my actual physical location, we're kind of in between like anything that's got a reasonable population, like the city that I live in or the village I live in. Actually, I don't know, the population's maybe like 3,000 or something like that. It's super small. So we're kind of in the middle of nowhere where it's not like we're on the way to
it's not like Ron Helms, like
Shauna Lake or Green Bay or right. Exactly. We don't have any tourism over here.
Okay.
So we'd have to think about moving to, I mean, I don't know, like a place like Stevens Point, maybe off of like 51. That would maybe be a place, but I really don't see it happening. I just don't think. I think for one, it seems like the consumer they're not looking to go that direction necessarily.
That's true.
And
everyone does like
I don't know.
Mail.
They do. I mean, they really do seem to like that. And we can get our stuff out, quick. I'm sure we would pick up some sales because guys would be driving up north for the weekend or whatever, and they could jump off of 51 if we were, let's say, in Stevens Point or somewhere like that. But I just don't. Right now, I don't see it happening. I'll never say never because you just never know,
No, I mean,
which avenue this is going to take next.
3.5, almost 4 years, and you're thinking about this being probably not being this far in 10 years. And, never say never. 'Cause I would love to go visit a truck.
Yeah, that's the thing about this business. I really don't know. I don't really know what the limit is, as far as like, I don't know. I mean, are we halfway to our potential? Are we 3/4 of the way to the potential? I really have no idea where we're at and like what the ceiling is. I know where we came from.
I don't think there's an ever end goal. I mean, like you said, there's 1 million bait makers, and there's going to be 1 million more, and a few of those are going to stick and become, mainstays. And then sooner or later, people are going to get custom colors of those.
I certainly hope so.
Well, it's going to happen. Everyone loves their custom colors, and there's always new bait makers coming out. I mean, it's awesome. I love it personally. With that being said, for people who maybe have stayed under your radar as far as baits, if they wanted to possibly get in contact you with possibly getting on an intro, how do you go about doing that, or what is your selection process for going about picking the correct brands and companies to become intro?
I mean, one of the biggest things I look for is somewhat of a social media presence. I'm not saying you need to be a big deal on social media, but I'd like you to be on it. Mm-hmm. I know there was a couple of companies that had kind of contacted me over the summer, and it just concerned me a little bit because I think I don't want to say they're too far behind the times, but maybe a little bit behind the times. Because, I mean, in today's world, social media is obviously a very big thing. It's not the only thing, but it's a very big thing.
It is.
I mean, I've learned, like, honestly, there's a few different twists and turns that this whole thing has taken that kind of surprised me a little bit. Like, we went to our first show in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. It was, let's see here, it's 2017. I'm thinking it must have been like February 2015. And we went to our first show there, and it was we had a pretty decent social media following at that time, because we had, like I said, we had done a lot of like giveaways and different promotional stuff, and done some YouTube videos and things like that. And it blew me away how many people didn't have any idea who we were. I mean, we still go to shows. We still did shows this last year. We did 5 shows, and we still get people that are like, "Who are you?" And we're like, it's so clearly there's other ways to reach people,
yes,
other than just social media. But that's one thing I look for. And I'm not saying you need to have 10,000 followers. That's not the case at all. I just want you to make, somewhat of an effort on it. Mm-hmm. So that's just one. And then I'll sort through people, if I don't want to single out bucktail manufacturers, but there's a lot of them, and I can't take every single one of them. And that's no offense to anybody that makes a bucktail. There's a ton of great guys out there that make bucktails, but I can't feasibly put every single one of them into my store right now.
No, that's a whole garage dedicated to bucktails.
It is, and that's unfortunately. I mean, if I had unlimited room and unlimited resources to try to pay for the stuff, because I mean that's the thing, we pay for all of our stuff before we even sell it, so it's hard for so it all takes money.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just it. I try to look for some new unique stuff to it. Sometimes I'll take a flyer on a guy just because I think he's nice, and I want to help him out. Not saying that I don't want to make it sound like charity, but because it's certainly not. Because I mean, everybody I add, I feel adds value and legitimacy to my business. I mean,
and it goes
with
both
the little
ways.
bit of success that we've had already. It's not just about me and me making money. If you talk to the guys that I deal with, I do legitimately feel it's a team effort. I try to help them better their business, and in turn, they help me better my business. So it's certainly there's a give and take, and that's it's just the way it is. And I hope I can continue to keep it that way. I'd like to try to keep it, where I try to treat all the people that work with me as fairly as I can. And I certainly appreciate everybody that supplies me with baits. I mean, especially in the beginning, there was companies that in the beginning it was weird because I had to try to convince them of the idea. Whereas now I don't have to do that. Like in the beginning, I had every person that I added to the store, I had to go out and find. They weren't finding me. They didn't know who I was, and I'm sure half of them were like, "Great, who is this guy?" You know, a new online store popped up today. How many more are going to pop up tomorrow? What's this guy's angle? You know, am I going to get, if I send them baits, am I going to get paid? You know, so you had to do a lot of, you had to get people to buy into your business and believe in you. And, so fortunately I was able to get a lot of the right guys to believe in me. And, you know, like I said, it's been
so
having this.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Jeff.
No, just having the support of a lot of the big guys, you know, the big manufacturers, and then fill it in with a lot of the little guys is really, it's been a good mix, and I hope it continues to be a good mix. Like I said, I never know what the future is going to bring.
I like the mix personally. With you saying, you know, you had the correct people in your early stages of this business, who was the first person or company on Tro? Who were they?
The very first company that I had was Musky Mayhem.
Okay.
And it was basically Musky Mayhem came in, but honestly, it was like we had such a small, like literally we started out with one or two colors in the Electric Bunny to start with for custom colors. Mm-hmm. And that was where we started. And then it was right after that, Rick from Chaos Tackle, he was on board pretty quickly too. He came in he was the very next one. He was like 1B probably, because it was Mayhem like one day, and then the next day we got, you know, the stuff from Chaos. But even when we started out, I mean, our orders would be, you know, we'd get we'd have two custom colors, and then we would have, we'd have two custom colors, and then we'd have we'd get 6 of each color in, you know. So it's like, you know, my bills to these guys were a fraction of where they are right now, and it's just crazy to think of where it's come and how, you know, relatively quickly it's come.
From like 12 baits or 24 baits from two companies.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I remember when we first started, it was, if we had 3 orders in a day, that was a good day. Yeah. And I mean, our very first month, I won't go through all of our sales figures and where we were then and where we are now, but our very first month, I think we did $200 in sales.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, if we were doing $200 in sales a month right now, we'd be struggling big time.
I think Mike and Mike Schumacher and Malashevsky do that every week from you. I mean, them two alone right there, the Mike house. Yeah.
I mean, they certainly help, you know, and now that you brought them up, I mean, let's talk about customers for a second. Not only am I appreciative of all the guys the companies that help me get to where you get product, I'm certainly very thankful for all the customers that have supported me. I mean, you know, when I write a letter, you know, a little bit of note or whatever on their order, thanking them for their order. When I write that on their order, or my wife writes it on their order, we truly do mean, you know, we truly are thankful for everybody that decides to shop with us. For, you know, because our business it's not real personal, you know, it's not like I have guys walking into my shop telling me fishing stories and they can get to know me. So it's for them to decide that they're going to click on TeamRhinoOutdoors.com versus the other options that they have out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are truly thankful for everybody that supports us. And, you know, Mike, I mean, obviously they're instrumental in, you know, helping me be where we are. And, you know, for that, we thank them, and we thank all of our customers. It's been, I mean, we truly couldn't do it without them. We'd be nothing without them. They are the lifeblood of any business, and they certainly are with ours. And for that, you know, we're very thankful.
I like that. So we got a couple questions, Jeff, from a couple viewers.
Sure.
Roy Hayes, he said, ask Jeff when the bakers are going up.
Well, Roy, we still have a few bakers here left, and we've put a couple of them up every day probably. With bait with a bait like that, it's hard for us to just put them out there because I'm very aware of what the secondary market commands, and I really try to get baits into the hands of the guys that want to use them for fishing purposes. Not that I'm mad that guys flip baits. I'm certainly not. I ask a certain price for my bait, for the baits that we sell, and if they buy them and they do whatever, that's theirs. But I would prefer baits to get fished.
Mm-hmm.
So, Roy, it's been a difficult struggle. I mean, when I get somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 emails for a shipment of baits and we only get 20 baits, I certainly can't make everybody happy, and it's very difficult. I wish I could. So what we do is we've been releasing them online, one at a time, and we release a couple a day.
Okay.
So I guess that's about all I can say. With baits like that are that hard to get, I actually have been preferring just to get them during show season. It's hard because I always have guys that are like, well, I can't make the show. But on the same token, we can control the inventory by saying, okay, limit one on these baits, and so we can assure that more people are going to get them out. The last thing I'd hate to do is put 20 Baker baits online and have one person just buy up all 20, and then I have even more people that are mad that they couldn't get baits. So sort of caught between a rock and a hard place with small bait manufacturers like that, especially the ones that are in very, very much in demand.
So Roy, just keep hitting that refresh button, buddy. F5.
Yep, that's
F5,
pretty much
F5,
it.
F5.
Well, I mean, all the colors are listed online right now, and we have. I think it was probably like earlier in the summer, maybe later in the spring. We have a button on our website for anything that's sold out. If you go click on, let's just use Baker Baits because that's the one that we have a few of them and guys want. If you go on there and you find and you go click down to the color that you want. Mm-hmm. If it's out of stock, there's a little button there that says like email me when available. So what you can do is you can click on that, and when we add inventory, it'll send you an email. The downside to that is it goes in the order of which you signed up, and it only goes out, I think our email ratio is set up to send out 2 notifications per 1 unit that we get in stock. So if you don't want to hit refresh, you can use that button, and eventually you should hopefully get a notification. But then there's basically 2 guys that are racing to try to get 1 bait in that instant.
Yep. So you can
so
also
Roy,
try that out, Roy.
Yep, try that.
So we got Adam Swiklinski from TNA asking, how many companies does Tro Outdoors carry now? So how many people you got on board right now?
I'm guessing we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 100.
Oh, wow.
Maybe. I don't know if it's, I'm just looking around the shop and I'm thinking of all the different companies. Little ones, big ones. I bet you we deal with close to 100 different companies now.
Wow. That's so much. That's so much.
There's a lot of moving parts.
And all that stuff.
Yeah, I've had, we don't have a lot of people come shop, but I have a few friends that come out and they're always like, holy cow, I didn't realize how much you have here, like how much inventory you have. And, you walk into the shop, it's full. We have a lot of stuff. I wish we had more because there's always stuff we're sold out of that I'll yell at my wife and I'll be like, man, I wish we could get these back in stock, or I wish we could get these back in stock. But I understand everybody's busy. We're always asking them to do something different that not everybody does. So our orders take a little bit longer.
And it's fishing season right now, so.
Yep. It is fishing season, which for some of the guys that slows things up too. But I totally get that. I don't, the companies that we deal with, I have some little companies and they're always worried that we're going to bog them down with a big order, which we may or may not do. Just depends on how well your stuff sells. Mm-hmm. But I really don't bother. I really don't bother guys. I'm not sending out emails daily going like, when am I going to get my stuff? When am I going to get my stuff? I understand people have lives and jobs. I don't have a life, but they do. They get out fishing, they get to have fun, and I get that. I understand it. That doesn't mean I wish it wasn't in stock, but it happens.
Well, I don't know if you want to take a day off, Jeff. We can just make a couple Facebook status and be like, hey, don't order from Tro on this day. Jeff wants to go fishing. I think we can make that happen, dude. Like, if you just want
Well,
time away.
it's funny you say it. It's funny you say that because I joke with my wife once in a while and I'll be like, let's just put the website on pause for a few days and just take some days off and just see what happens.
Yeah, just it's fine. People will understand.
Yeah, they will.
They will.
Yeah, occasionally, on very rare occasion, I do, like Friday, a lot of times if we can ship Saturdays, we'll ship on Saturday too, but we went up north for the weekend, and Friday I kept packing orders until about 4 o'clock, knowing I could still get them to the post office and get them shipped on Friday. So I packed until 4, and then I finally just said, all right, I gotta hit the road. I'm done. So, and then of course, as soon as we get to the post office, we'll get another order, and that seems to happen, all the time. But I guess it's a good problem to have. But I still don't like it. I don't like it when we can't ship baits, next day. I want to get them out as quick as I can because guys can't catch fish if we don't get them their stuff as quick as we can.
That's true. Wow, I couldn't imagine. I'd hate to be your local post office worker.
They have days where they're probably not that happy to see me. Yeah. I'm thinking tomorrow might be one of those days. This was a pretty busy weekend. I still have a lot of work to do tonight, but if it gets that bad, I normally just tell them, like, give me one of those big dumpster bins, and I'll just load them all into there, and then I just go around back and do it that way.
It's just crazy to me. I'm upset and like frantic when I have like 4 baits I need to ship. And I'm like, I gotta write all these names and all that stuff. And, that must as much praise as I give to my customers and the manufacturers too. I don't want to make this sound like it's about me telling everybody how great they are, but like I honestly couldn't do this without my wife. I mean, I don't know how I would ever be able to get it all done without her. She knows nothing about musky fishing, but she knows every single bait and every single color that's in the shop. That's awesome.
She pulls every single order, and I sit here and she pulls every order, gets the box ready, and I just check them all off and make sure that, she pulled the right stuff. And I would say she's probably about 99.9% efficient as far as like her rate of having problems. Mm-hmm. And, as for her success rate, it's really high. And even my daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, she was in the shop today, just before you called me. Mm-hmm. And, she's pulling orders and she's like, Dad, is this neon blue headlock or whatever? And she knows the difference between headlocks, matlocks. She knows 10-inch, 12-inch. I mean, she knows a lot more about baits than any 11-year-old girl really should know. So when you talk a family business, I mean, this is a family business. My younger son falls asleep in the shop pretty much every night because he doesn't have to go to school, so he can come out to the shop and hang out until Mom and Dad go in. And we have a little fold-out couch for him. And sometimes he'll bring out an iPad, other times he'll bring out a book or some trucks or whatever, and he falls asleep in the shop. So, I mean, it's truly a family business. And like I said, I couldn't do it without a lot of their help. So,
because you don't have any employees, it's just you and your family. That's it, right?
It is. It's just me and my family. Yeah, I mean, that may need to change down the road because things are getting to be a little bit bigger. And I mean, with our partnership with Keys Outdoors this past season, mm-hmm. I mean our growth curve was going up to start with, but with Mike, helps. I mean, you could tell that helped us out quite a bit too. Yeah. Especially, I mean, when they catch a couple 50-inch fish on Oktoberfest Junior Cowgirls and we can't keep them in stock, and every show we go to, we sell 35 of them.
I think that might have something to do with it.
I was gonna say, that has something to do with it. So.
Well, I want to be the first to put in my application for shop bitch for Tro. That's me.
Yeah, you want to work long hours for very little pay.
You're hired. Do. I already do. So I mean, I get free food at my job, but I mean, maybe I get a free bait from yours. That sounds a lot more fun than mozzarella sticks. So
yeah.
So do you have any set future plans for Tro? Like, I know you said never say never and all this stuff, but do you have goals in mind that you want to achieve, like physical goals?
I mean, I certainly have a sales goal that I want to achieve. It was a couple seasons back, and Steve Jensen was talking to me, and he said to me, "Hey Jeff, what's your sales goal?" And I told him, and he's like, "Are you nuts?" And I'm like, "No." I said I could set the sales goal a lot lower, and then I said if I hit it, great. But I said I set my goal out there, which I don't know how attainable it is. We're not going to hit it this year. I doubt we'll hit it next year, but it's a lofty goal, and I want to hit it. I'm very goal oriented. Like if I set my mind to it, I want to get it done, and we'll keep pushing till we get it done. So that's one thing. I do have certain sales goals that I want to hit. But I mean, I would say that there is a chance that we would maybe venture into walleyes and bass.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure that I want to make that leap for a couple of reasons. I'm not as passionate about walleyes and bass as I am about muskies. Mm-hmm. Like, even though I don't musky fish, I mean, I'm in the shop and I'm watching. Aside from listening to music on my iPhone, I'll watch YouTube videos of whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll watch YouTube videos of Keys Outdoors. I'll watch YouTube videos of Today's Angler.
Yep.
That younger guy that bass fishes and musky fishes.
SB Fishing.
You sent it.
Yeah, Matt Strick.
Yeah, SB Fishing. Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll watch his videos. And I love it. I love everything about muskies. I love everything about the musky business. There's a few things about the musky business that I don't like, but it's rare and it doesn't really detract me from. Sometimes I think there's a little bit too much bickering between, anglers and how big this fish is and how big that fish is. And I really wish that guys would just put that aside and just be congratulatory of the guy for catching a fish or the girl that catches a fish or, whatever it would be. I wish that was, there was more camaraderie with certain people.
Yes.
But it seems like there's a bit of jealousy, and that's the only thing I really dislike about the business is that you get that, and I really wish it wasn't that way. I wish guys would just, I say guys, but I mean guys and girls, because we get a fair amount of girls at musky fish too, and I wish they would just.
I believe that. I don't like it either, but then again, I can't think of a business community, I should say instead, that doesn't have that. And
I agree.
Everything has their bad side. There are some bad things, to our community, and I don't know it, but I'm pretty sure they're the exact same in the bass and walleye world, or salmon world, or saltwater world.
I would agree. In fact, who knows? I mean, they're big. They're way bigger industries. It could be even worse. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know those industries as well as I know this one. Mm-hmm. So. That's the only thing I wish about it. I wish that guys were, like, again, I say guys, but I don't mean it that way. I just wish they were. I wish we could all just get along. But I wish that certain times I see people like maybe a newer person and they're holding the muskie the wrong way or whatever. Instead of like educating them about the proper way to do it, everybody jumps down their throat and like gets on them. And I think sometimes it gives musky anglers it puts them in a bad light. And it also kind of, instead of welcoming them into musky fishing, it sort of pushes them away a little bit because of how we are. I mean...
Oh, I 100% agree. And I mean, you've been musky fishing for a while. I don't know. There's a lot of older people that musky fish than I believe. The age comparison is leaning more towards the middle age.
I would agree. I would agree with that to some extent. I also think that I think the Minnesota angler is probably younger than
the old Wisconsin
than say the Wisconsin angler. Yeah, I would say that's pretty. I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, we go to the musky shows in Minnesota, and there's quite a few younger anglers. So. Maybe it's because I don't want to say their musky fisheries are newer, but they are newer. I mean, So that might have something to do with it also.
But the point was like kind of, we need this to keep this community thriving. We need those new people. We need those
absolutely.
younger people. And we shouldn't scare them away with, oh my God, they're gonna die because you let their belly sag a little bit too, or whatever. Nonetheless, it's like, hey, come on, let's do it this way, dude. Like, awesome fish, congrats, but hey, next time.
Exactly, and that's the way it should be. It shouldn't be like, hey, I'm going to jump down your throat because you did something wrong. It should be, hey, did you ever consider doing this? Or, just more constructive criticism versus forcing the issue down everybody's throat. And I think, like I said, I think sometimes that turns people off to musky fishing. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot. I mean, there's not a ton of that, but there's a lot of great people that I've met through musky fishing. I mean,
yeah.
I'd say the vast majority of my friends I've met through musky fishing. I'll miss names, but like even the guys that help me in the booth. We'll just use like Jordan Gustman and Kyle Weber. Kyle Weber is probably he probably cares more about TRL than I do, and that says a lot because I care a lot about this business. And I didn't even know him 6 years ago. I met him fishing the PMTT. And, and now he helps me at every single show, and he's always on the lookout for new companies that we should pick up. So Kyle, I'll single out Kyle because, he helps me quite a bit, but you also get guys like Steve. And then, I have local friends, Andy Weiss, Evan Velt. Those guys they're all about trying to, do the best they can to help me. And so I met, like I said, and I didn't know those guys if it wasn't for musky fishing.
True.
And that's just a small sample of them. I mean, there's tons of them. I mean, a lot of the manufacturers I deal with are really great people, and there's lots of good in the musky world. And it irritates me sometimes when I see the bad, because, of course, in life, the bad is always, more considered, I guess, more talked about or whatever than the good. So
it sickens me that and I gotta bring up the flea because that's where all this really stems from. It's a great place, but when someone posts a mishandled fish and then like the first comment is Michael Jackson eating popcorn waiting for the comments, like, all right, we get it, like, let's not do this, let's swing away from that, like, we all know it's coming, but come on now.
Yeah, like, let's just, like I said, I don't want to sound like, I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh, why can't we all get along, but at the same time, I just wish that it could be more like that. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Especially when it comes to somebody's fish, whether it be their first one, their last one, their biggest, their whatever. I'd like to see every muskie get released myself because that creates more opportunities for more anglers. But I mean, if it's within somebody's right and whatever to keep a muskie, it's not for me to judge them. I would never do it. I would never do it myself. But just because I have my opinion doesn't mean my opinion is always right. They have their own thoughts. Now maybe instead of chastising them for keeping the fish, maybe they don't know about replicas. I mean, heck, when I came into musky fishing, I didn't know about a replica. It was because of the education I got through certain, like I would say Steve was probably one that I was able to get a lot of information from early on my musky career. And he's on the know as far as, information goes. So he probably was the first one to tell me about it. So there's maybe people that don't even realize it's even an option.
Oh, of course, especially if they're new to the industry or the community. So there's a little rant session. Now we can go back to fun stuff. We always got to have at least a little bit of a rant.
I'll get off the soapbox for a minute and just move on to other important things.
So we got Robbie Wilkie asking, do you come up with the ideas for the custom colors yourself, or are some the results of input from guides and other anglers?
It's a little bit of both. I know there's times where, like I said, I have a good network of guys that I deal with. I mean, some of the like some of the guys I already mentioned all help me with colors, but then there's a guy in northern Wisconsin by the name of Pete Rich. He helps me. Jeff Vandermortel, he helps me too. They're all guys that say, hey, I think you should, like, this is a color I've had success with. What if we tweaked this, or what if we did that, or what if we did this? And so I'll take their input and combine it with my input. Now, sometimes those guys are busy. Like a lot of times we come up with most of our stuff for the coming season during show season. We'll sit down and I'll have a notebook, and when we're downtime between a show, I'll say, hey guys, I need to think of some dog colors, or I need to think of some Medusa colors, or whatever, crankbaits or however. And we'll write down notes. But then you'll have like this last show season where I completely ignored all that, and I didn't do it for my own fault. I just didn't have the time or didn't think about it. And then we get to the time now here where I'm trying to come up with some new colors, and then some of it I just go on my own. Like I'll be like, okay, I think this would look cool, or what if we tweak this? I can come up with some of it on my own. And then I also get the guy that will just email me and say, hey, I had this bulldog color or this Medusa color from 3-4 years ago. I can't find it anywhere. Is it something that you could do? And I say, sure, I can get that done. It said, just so you know, if this is your like special color and you don't want the word out on it, then I'm probably not the right guy to do it. Because if I need to buy minimums, like Musky Innovations requires me to buy. If I want it in a mag dog, I need to buy, I think it's 10. And if I want it in a pounder, I got to buy 10 more. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if you want it, I'll do it. But just keep in mind that it's gonna go. The remainder is gonna have to get sold on my website. And then if it sells well, I'm gonna probably bring it back to try to to keep it around.
Yeah.
So we have guys that do that too. I've had guys send me sketches of different baits that they'd like done, and
yeah.
I mean, within reason, I try to accommodate them all. I can't do everything because I got to pay for it all, and a lot of times, like I said, with the custom end of it, they require me to do minimum quantities on a lot of it because they don't want to just do 2 of this and 2 of that.
No.
So,
no.
But if I can get it done, especially if it's something that needs to get done, if guys are like, oh, I'm looking forward for next year, and it's like October or November. Well, most of the manufacturers are still a little bit slow in October and November because they haven't quite ramped up for show season, and there's like by then, their sales are mostly slow because most of us retailers have put our orders in for fall by the end of September. Mm-hmm. So that's a perfect time for me to get some samples done and get some custom color work done and get that kind of stuff done.
Okay.
Which normally that's why we end up trying to bring out. We sometimes try to bring out new colors at show season, but it depends. Like sometimes at show season, guys don't want to necessarily come to TRO to buy baits. We still sell a lot of baits, but I guess bulldogs, for example, we have a pile of them, and we sell a bunch of them during the season. But when guys go to a show, they want to go talk to Brad Rue. They want to look at his customs because they know that his customs are, once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
So
they're gone. Yeah. Oh well.
Yep. Which is fine. I have no problems with that at all. I mean, it doesn't bother me. So, which is why we don't necessarily always bring out our customs during the winter months. We'll wait until April, May, June, July, and I kind of just slowly release them here and there. Okay. On a whim, I'm like, I think I need to redo something now, or I need to add a little bit of something here. I'm kind of bored with this now, so let's think about adding this. Like we just did it with headlocks. I mean, it's September, and we just brought in 3 new colors of headlocks, and so
that's cool.
So that's I was like, hey, it's going to be about that time of year. I should probably think about doing it. We haven't refreshed our lineup in a little bit or added anything new. I think it's time.
And it's perfect time for trolling those headlocks.
It is perfect time. Although if you talk to the guys, like I said, in northern Wisconsin, they've been catching fish up in northern Wisconsin on headlocks and matlocks all season long.
I've seen a few pictures, and I'm jealous. That's all I can say.
Okay. You and me both, buddy.
Yeah. It's been a rough season for me this year.
It hasn't been a banner year for me. Like I got my first muskie within a half an hour on opening day.
Uh-oh.
And I've had a few opportunities since then, but I'm not even positive I've put another one in the boat since then.
All right.
I was in Minnesota recently, and we caught a bunch of fish. I got to see some fish caught, but I didn't personally catch any. And like I said, I've lost my fair share this season.
Yes.
But it's also about time on the water. I mean, I used to get lots of time on the water. I mean, I had seasons where I would catch, 50, 60 muskies in a season. Mm-hmm. It's basically being like weekend warrior. Yep. And I just don't get as much time on the water, and when I do, it's different time on the water than what it had been. So, but again, I'm not mad about it. It's fine. Someday the life will circle back around, and I'll get less bluegill fishing, and then hopefully I'll have a couple more musky fishermen in my boat.
Yeah.
Because I got a couple more coming up aside from just my daughter, so hopefully they're interested in it. I know my son Austin. I think both my sons are going to probably musky fish. I don't know about my youngest daughter. I don't know if she will or not. She seems to not be into it as much. But
Jeff, are you kidding me? Don't kid yourself, man. Look at like the playroom that they play in. Are you kidding me? Look at their father. They're born with it now. They're stuck. They're screwed from the start.
They are, but I'm not.
Like, at least we had a choice in that decision. No. They're done.
Yeah, well, they'll be able to start the story out when you talk to them some year down the road. They'll be able to start the story out a little bit differently than I did. Like I said, I had nobody to learn from, really. I had to learn it. That's why I hired Steve I hired him for one day for 3 years straight, and then I'd hire him periodically, not necessarily to learn stuff, but just to, it wasn't, when I first started going out with a guide, I'd pepper him with a whole pile of questions.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kind of just chilled out, and we just go fishing, and we pick something up here and there. And, now I go fishing with Steve on the PMTT and stuff, and we'll talk about, we don't necessarily even talk about technique, we'll just talk about the business in general. Or we'll talk about non-fishing related stuff. But yeah, my kids aren't going to have that. They're going to be like, oh, my dad was the one that got me started and got me hooked at, whatever, age 8 when he got the first one. Yeah.
They caught a muskie before they caught their first bluegill. That's a story I can believe.
It's not. No, with Austin, it wouldn't be that way. My oldest son, he's 6. His name's Austin, and he probably got his first fish trolling because the same day that I got Alexis her first muskie, Austin got a really nice pike. It was actually bigger than Alexis's muskie, and so I got this picture of him beaming ear to ear because he can't even hold this northern. But he got to get that thing, and that was a pretty big fish that he got there. So. But I think he had caught bluegills before that too. But either way, they are gonna have. I don't want to say if it's an advantage or a disadvantage. I don't know. Is it an advantage if your dad musky fishes, or is that a disadvantage?
Advantage of the people he knows. Disadvantage that you're screwed for the rest of your life. Like I said, you don't get a choice.
Right. I was gonna say. I mean, I at least had a choice, and I knew I could back out of it. But they don't even know that they could, they don't even realize what they're getting into.
No.
Poor kids.
So Jeff, most important question of the night: funniest boat launch story, and for you, we'll make the exception of funniest shop story. We get some funny shop stories actually, just questions people ask. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of some of the questions we get asked. I wish I would have thought about that before I got here. Boat launch stories. So me, I fish northern Wisconsin quite a bit. So I don't actually honestly, the lakes that I fish, I don't really see many people launch their boats. I have a couple, the lake I fished on opening day. I was the only guy musky fishing, and the other ones on the lake were locals, and they were all bluegill fishing, which is weird because it's a good musky lake. Okay. I guess the most I would say scary boat launch story I had is, so it was probably 9 years ago or so. I was fishing Green Bay late in the season, and we went out one day, and we put the boat on the trailer, and then we were going out the next day. And I think since we were going out, I just put the cover on and let my boat sit in the garage, or sit in the driveway. And then so the next morning we went out, and we were putting I have bunk trailers, and most of the time I just, the trailers, the launch wasn't super steep, but I normally unhook everything, so basically I just back in, the boat comes off. Yeah. Well, the bunks had iced up overnight, so we just about dropped my boat right on the concrete. That thing shot off so fast and so far. Luckily, it ended up in the water. Wow.
But I about crapped my pants based off of that, so that wasn't that cool. So that's a lesson, I guess. If you're gonna go out fishing late in the season and you got a bunk trailer or a roller trailer, I'd imagine for sure. Because I'm guessing roller. I've never had a roller trailer, but I'm assuming they don't unhook them.
Just as I don't know. I unhook mine.
But anyway, if you're gonna go out and then you go out the next day, make sure you back your boat far enough into the water. Because we got lucky, so lucky. Like if that thing would have not quite shot off there so fast,
yeah,
we would have been one of those guys on the opposite end of the boat launch stories. You know, we would have been that guy.
I was just about to say yes. You would have been one of those guys. No.
Yes.
Oh.
And luckily we weren't that guy. I've had, with Green Bay fishing late into the season. I mean, we fished there until the end of the season, November 30th. We'll fish there, and I've had times where I have to unhook my boat off my truck to pull guys out of the launch because the launch is so iced up. So I've had those stories. But I've never seen anybody sink their boat or anything. Like I said, the closest I got probably was me, and that wouldn't have been good.
That's a new one because we almost got like the other side of the story, like you said, and that would have been bad.
That would have been.
Yeah, if we would have had someone come on here, funniest boat launch story. Well, we saw Jeff Widmann on Green Bay late in the season and crashed his boat on the ground.
That's a fact. That was almost us. Like I said, that thing came off. I mean, those bunks iced up, and that thing just tore off the bunks. As soon as we started going down, that thing slid off. And like I said, it shot out so far that we got lucky, really lucky. So
lesson learned. Lesson
I
learned.
Guess, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Jeff, thanks so much for coming on finally. I know I've been pestering you about coming on, but, well, you're a cool dude. You got a lot to share. So, oh well.
We'll have to do it again, like closer to November, December, because, I mean, I know you're normally talking about Black Ops baits, and I have a lot of information as far as new products that are coming out. I mean, we're going to...
Oh, I know.
We're going to be jammed up with new stuff for next year. I know that just about every major company that I deal with has got something. I mean, I know even like, TNA Tackle, they've already talked to me about what they have coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Musky Mayhem's got stuff. Lungin Tackle's got stuff. Musky Innovations has stuff. I'm pretty sure Chaos Tackle's got some stuff other than the Shum Shum. Just trying to think of all the other people that have contacted me about different stuff they have coming. Lots of stuff.
So our next show...
I think even maybe...
What?
We could probably do something, I'm guessing, December. We may have a couple new colors that we'll be able to talk about and things like that.
I like that.
So it's always good to talk musky.
It's always good to talk.
And then we can also have a better idea of what shows we're even attending. I got to figure that stuff out one of these days too.
You should, yeah, well, it's coming up, but I know that it's a lot harder for you to plan. You're kind of a lot bigger than a lot of the people I usually normally have on here. And if we were to talk about Black Ops baits and freaking what shows you're attending, that's an hour right there.
It is. Yeah, we don't want to go till 9:00 tonight. I know that.
No, not tonight.
I'm sure your listeners are bored already.
So. Oh well. Thanks again, Jeff.
They're like, who's this?
Oh.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can finally make it work.
And you didn't like mess up the show at all. We got a decent amount of views. So.
I did. I didn't. I figured that having a bottom feeder like me on would have probably screwed up the ratings somehow. But
nah, you're good. It's all good.
All right.
Well, have a good one,
I
Jeff.
didn't want to downgrade your show, so I'll catch you later. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Bye. Finally, we got Jeff on. Awesome. So check him out. He revealed some details of kind of when you should be looking at his websites for different products. Like we said, we'll do another show with him closer to show season. See what he's planning on bringing to the shows, what shows he's attending, some insider information about some Black Ops baits from a whole bunch of different companies. With that being said, if you don't know who, Jeff Widmann is, now you know. Tro, go check him out. If you don't see the color that you like, talk to him. Like he said, maybe late-ish fall, October-ish. If you're looking for certain like bulldog or whatever, get in contact with him. He can see if he can make an arrangement with that during the slower processing right before they start ramping up for show season. With that being said, Thanks to everyone who liked my page. We finally got 1,000 likes. That's awesome. Thank you very much, you guys. Maybe do a giveaway or something like that soon. I should be on next week Monday. I don't know who. I got a couple people lined up. But who cares? It'll be awesome. Talk Muskies. So, I don't know. Go check out Tro. Go spend some money. But, at once. Not a whole bunch of little ones. Let the guy go fishing. He needs to go fishing more. So, just all at once. Once a month order. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will talk to y'all next Monday. Adios.